Well, check it out. There's a fifth book in the Stonechild and Rouleau mystery series. It's called Bleeding Darkness. And she joins us. She's the author. Her name is Brenda Chapman. Nice to have you here.
Nice to be here, Dylan. Thank you.
5 books.
Yes.
Okay. Stonechild and Rouleau. Saying that correctly?
You are.
Okay. Now, we're not going back too far when it comes to book number 1.
No, it was 2014.
Wow.
I've been doing one a year.
1 book a year.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't seem...
2 to go.
Okay, that seems like a lot of books.
It feels like a lot of books. It takes about a year to write, edit, promote each book. So it takes a bit of time.
Yeah, but throughout your career, you're pretty used to this because you put together over 20 books at this point?
Yeah, I've got 18 published and 2 more in the process of coming out. So
that's incredible.
With 2 different publishers.
Incredible. Okay. So can you tell me what this series is all about then? Do all the books, are they a continuation of each other?
Yes. It's a police procedural. The first book, Cold Morning, is set in Ottawa. I have a First Nations Aboriginal police detective, Kayla Stonechild, and she's been called the first female lead Aboriginal detective in a series. But I gave her a French-Canadian Staff Sergeant, Jacques Rouleau, who becomes like a father figure to Kayla. She's grown up in foster homes. She's had a troubled life. She's very independent, dogged, very intelligent, and she leads the investigations. I had meant the 2 of them to be equal, but she's kind of taken over the series.
Okay.
And the second book, I moved them to Kingston for the rest of the series, so they have a different murder in each book with a different cast of characters, but the police, I trace their lives right through the series.
Can I ask you how Kayla Stonechild came to be? Because obviously you mentioned the first in Canada. Pretty important.
Well, I was working for the federal government at the Department of Justice. My file was the Aboriginal file, which I think now we'd call the Indigenous file. So every morning I would have to read up on all the issues and find all the news clippings on what was going on. So I was reading about, you know, some really tragic things going on. And I think Kayla kind of grew out of my frustration with maybe how we view Indigenous people in the past. And I just wanted to have a really modern, courageous woman who is just like you or me, who is dealing with life. And
You've done that. So what's happening this time around? Tell us a bit about this story from the new book called Bleeding Darkness.
Well, normally each book I have a germ of an idea. So with Bleeding Darkness, all that I had was I thought of a man who was at the end of his life in the hospital, his family's gathering, and he has a secret. And it concerns the murder of his daughter's best friend 14 years earlier. And so he's taking this to his deathbed. And that was kind of all I had when I began writing. And soon there's another disappearance, another murder, and it's all intertwined.
Okay. Now, is it difficult to, because it's always difficult topics, it seems to be, and topical stuff as well. Is it a challenge to write about topics so difficult as deathbeds and murders?
I think you have to set yourself aside from that. I mean, that's really the starting off point for the story. So what I'm interested in are the characters and their motivations, their interactions. You're seeing them at a really difficult time in their lives. And I love the puzzle of the mystery. So while my books aren't really light, I mean, I do deal with death quite seriously. It's more the interactions, what's driving people to do what they do and solving that crime. Okay,
so that's where I am curious about your writing process, especially having put out 5 books in 4 or 5 years. That just seems to be a lot. So where do you begin when it comes to the character development and the story itself?
I normally begin with the crime. I think of what the crime will be and who did it, and then the rest just I make it up as I go along.
So it just starts to flow out of your head?
It does. Now, what's easy about a series is you have the same police officers going through, so their lives are already in turmoil, and there's lots there to work with, but the crime, it just kind of evolves. And normally I have a few things I want to get in there, so I have a few points I want to hit as I'm writing.
And you always get to them? One way or another?
I do.
Okay, but I'm sure there's lots of stuff on the cutting room floor, so to speak?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to edit, and then when the book is finally sent in, the manuscript, I work with an editor and we go through it again and again and again.
How do you feel the Canadian landscape is right now when it comes to authors and books and writing?
I think it's burgeoning. I think we're getting international fame. I think it's growing quite well. And you know, it used to be that a Canadian setting was a death knell for a book in the international market, but I think that's changing quite happily.
That's good. That's a good thing, especially when, so this is set in Kingston.
It is.
Yeah. So if it's set in Kingston, Ontario, then I think that's a good thing that people are accepting this in a big way.
Yeah.
So what is the process then when it comes to the next book? Because you've already mentioned, so there's 7 in the series. Number 5 is now out.
Yes.
When do we get to number 6?
Number 6 is already written. It was submitted a year ago, and I'm just on the editing process now with my editor from Dundurn, the publisher, and they're coming up with the design of the cover, and they'll start promoting about 6 months ahead of when it comes out, which will be next year. And I'm actually working on writing the one after that. So.
Really?
Yes.
do you ever stop?
I get confused.
Do you take a break from writing?
The odd week.
Yeah, the odd week here and
Yeah,
there. The odd night you take off to watch some television or something like that?
Oh, yes. Yeah,
yes, for sure.
I have lots of time. I'm retired from the government now, so I'm writing full time.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
there
have
you go.
time.
The new book, it's called Bleeding Darkness, the 5th in the Stonechild and Rouleau mystery series. Thank you very much, Brenda Chapman, the author, for being here today.
Thank you, Dylan.
Pick it up now. It's out. It's a good read. Thank you so much for being here as always. Have a great day.